Hello and welcome to the Celtic Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Jarrod, and joining me tonight are the guys who run the show last week. I let the inmates run the asylum. We've got John and Sean. How are you, Johnny?
I'm good, Jarrod. Yep, I'm enjoying Sydney's freedom, finally. Can go outside.
Smart ass. We're in a couple of days off here in Melbourne. Happens for us on Friday. Can't wait. And how are you, Sean?
I've been swimming in freedom for so long that I can tell you all about it. But yeah, no, good. I managed to. I think I should get some credit for going through a whole show unsupervised and not saying jobby once.
It's true.
You dropped the ball there. I was half expecting it to be a nightmare and a job. Too easy. Speaking about lockdowns quickly, I just wanted to just run something by you, get your opinion, because in Melbourne, we have a 9 p.m. curfew, all right? So I currently can't go out my front door right now or I'd get fined about $5,000. So Thursday night at midnight, going into Friday, we're at a lockdown. So how does it work? Like between 9 p.m. and midnight, I can catch the virus in that 3-hour window, but after midnight, all bets are off. I can't figure it out.
It's mathematical modelling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
very pedantic ruling.
Yeah, I said to me missus, that's it. At midnight, I'm going to do a nudie run down the court just because I can, not for any other reason. I wouldn't wish it on the neighbours. So if any of them listening, stay home.
Yeah, it's never based on an individual. It's based on like the group behaviours, and like if we restrict movement for X amount of time, it reduces transmission by Z sort of thing.
Yeah. Anywho,
that's the sensible answer, yeah.
Ron's giving me a legit answer here, so we'll change the topic.
Oh, sorry, I know that's not what you were fishing for there. Yeah, bad. Yeah. Scott Morrison bad. Scott Morrison doing it. Is Scott Morrison gonna have to quarantine when he comes back? That'd be so funny if he catches COVID in Glasgow.
Oh, that's right. He's up to that COP26 thing, isn't he?
Yeah. You think he'll go to Ibrox? I think he will.
He comes across as that sort of bloke because he's a Cronulla NRL fan, so, you know, they're a bit scummy, so, you know, perfect. He'll fit right in.
He's definitely one of them.
All right, so anyone listening in, we'll just do the usual shout. If you could subscribe to the Celtic Down Under podcast, we'd appreciate that. If you're listening via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a review, preferably a 5-star one, because it helps with the algorithms on there and gets us a higher ranking. So more people will find our, you know, little show over here that we do from the other side of the world going nuts about Celtic. So if you could do that for us, we'd appreciate it. And we'll love you long time. All right, got a few games to talk about here. So we'll start off with Celtic 2, Motherwell 0. We had some basic stats were 18 shots to 5, 7 on target, 74% possession. Yeah, you know, over 400 more passes. Basically, all the statistical side of it, we dominated the play there. And you've got the lineup was Joe Hart. You had Ralston at right back, Carter Vickers and Starfelt centre back pairing. The surprise, in my opinion, when I saw the lineup was Bolingoli back at left back. Then McGregor, Turnbull, Rogic in the midfield. And then Abada out right, Jota left, Furuhashi through the middle. Sean, what was your thoughts when you saw the lineup?
The whole Bolingoli thing continues to perplex me. The guy was an absolute liability. I noted in the first, I think it was 10 minutes, that his first 4 passes, 3 of them were to the opposition. He defended okay, apart from when he punched the ball for some random, inexplicable reason. I think some of the Celtic fan sites were creating the defence that Van Veen had actually handballed it first. It's a weird kind of defence, but the only thing was that just the referee didn't see it. The thing that stood out for me most about the game was we really defended well. Like, that's the sort of game this year with, like, it was, we talked a few podcasts back about you have to play that kind of Strachan O'Neill mentality away from home. And that was kind of the first evidence of it. It was not Andrew Ball. There was no real Andrew Ball about it. It really was the kind of football you need to take to these away games, to grind it out, take your chances and defend solidly, you know, against partisan crowds and stuff like that, you know.
And what was your thoughts on the game, John?
Very similar. Yeah, I thought we defended brilliantly. what really pleased me was how well we just dominated the game from start to finish. I understand, like, obviously the first half probably didn't go the exact way that we would have liked it, and some big swathes of the game we missed chances. I think there's going to be a turning point at some point with this team where we just crank into the next gear, where the synergy just works really well, like a well-oiled machine sort of thing, and we just start hitting more often than these chances that we get. Sort of like on a 2/3 basis, which is probably where you're playing well and in form and stuff. But yeah, again, just some Jota had a brilliant game. He seems to be getting stronger and stronger. But yeah, overall, really, really pleased. I think when me and Sean were talking about the game, it was away to Motherwell was a tough tie, and honestly, before the game, I would have said it could have gone either way because we weren't. I mean, obviously we beat the Dons and stuff, but it was kind of we were only just getting into form at that point. So yeah, I'm genuinely really pleased. It was a good away win.
Did Joe Hart make a save? I don't think he did.
No, he didn't.
No, no.
He did the one Ronnie Simpson thing, but apart from that, he didn't make a save. Where he skinned the striker.
For me, going into this game, like, I actually wasn't too worried about playing at Fair Park because I was like, the MVP of that club is their groundskeeper. Like, that thing is carpet. So I was like, doesn't matter if we play Ange ball or if we just play what we did. At least we're not playing on, like, Ibrox a few years back where it was just they were painting the mud brown, the mud green to make it look like it was grass. It's like, yeah. So I was actually looking forward to going there. Still think there's a lot of improvement left in the team. And one thing I will bring up, because neither of us have so far, is Turnbull's goal.
Oh,
wow. What a friggin' rocket. Wow. That's all I got to say. And I do love it when players do what he did where he didn't celebrate. Like, I get it. I love that traditional side of the game. Like, some people don't like that. They think it should be, oh, well, you're playing for us now. Get it up, yes. But considering he's a guy who came through their academy all the way through, is their club record sale, I can appreciate him not celebrating that one. Celebrate it with his teammates, smile at him, but not being like, get it up, yes, and all over it. If it's someone like for us scoring who didn't come through our academy, different story. But if it's someone who's come through their academy, a local junior doing it, I can appreciate that. So what a goal though.
Yeah, I agree. A bit of respect. It's still admirable in the sport and stuff. I think just to expand on Turnbull a wee bit, we discussed him last week and stuff, and he is sort of in his early career stages and stuff, but you can definitely see the type of player he's evolved into. I mean, he doesn't score. He obviously tries those long range shots, but he doesn't always score them. But when they come off, Jesus Christ, I think there'll be a point where we might struggle to keep a hold of him if he keeps scoring goals like that.
I don't like relying on it to win games because it's such a low percentage thing. Like it's like those kind of long range shots, accounting for quality, is like 1% to 2% are going to come off.
Yeah, but we saw that last year with Christie.
Yeah, and
yeah.
Look, just on the topic of that, like, if you're trying to break down a team that's sitting in, I don't like to do it, but sometimes you have to play the percentages, do you know what I mean? Because you're only going to get a limited number of chances. That's why Sam Allardyce used to play the long ball so much, was he knew, like, that was the percent, if you go long, then you've got a 6-7% chance of getting a goal from it. But if you're going long range shots, 1% to 2%. If you're going for corners and set pieces, it's 2% to 4%, depending on the quality. And yeah, I don't know. I think we need to be able to mix it up a bit more, and we kind of seen that how that came into effect on Thursday night when it was very much playing out as we didn't look like we were going to score, and then one long ball over the top, cut it open, change the game, and I don't know. I'm getting frustrated by all these crosses into the box to Kyogo. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not working. I'd maybe, Giacomakis have a try at it, or someone else? I don't know. It's just frustrating me that it's crosses into Abada, Kyogo and Jota. It's not a good percentage for us.
You know what I call having the long shot, Sean? I call that pinball football. Like, they've got that many things in there. It's just hit it and hope it ricochets off a bunch of people, and then someone gets on the end of it and puts it in. So that's pretty much hitting a hope. So yeah, it's
I mean, the only thing from that though is a variety of different shots from different places does make oppositions think twice. It makes when there's obviously the chance that a long range shot doesn't go in, but maybe the keeper saves it or it gets spilled, and then one of your strikers finishes it off and stuff. So that, especially when teams are doing the low block, just trying to play through them or just trying to do crosses or just trying to do long shots definitely isn't going to work. You need a variety is good. So yeah, I agree. The chances of scoring these types of goals are very, very low, but I'm happy to see them if we're struggling to get any sort of joy in an attacking sense. Just to maybe draw a defender out, or I don't know, get lucky. Do you know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong with it, but over reliance is obviously the problem.
Yeah, because opposition managers that are good will game plan if you're predictable. So you need to have a degree of unpredictability.
Exactly.
You want to have that. I'm going to bring him up because it's kind of relevant to this point here, but it's Scott Sinclair. When he was playing on the left wing, you knew if he was coming in onto his right foot, he was looking to shoot. If you knew if he was going outside on his left, he was looking for a cross. Paddy Roberts, when he was on the right wing, he was a guy who'd mix it up. He could take you to the right, take you down to along the goal line, and then he'd either get a shot or he'd cut it back. But then he'd do the same thing if he went middle. So he was a lot harder to defend. So it's the same sort of thing. You've got to have more strings to your bow as a player so that they can't game plan every single thing out of what you're doing. So, yeah, these low crosses and that we're hitting, not ideal, but yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you tend to get away with it for a while until people figure it out, like Sinclair, and like people are figuring out with Kyogo now is that they need to get closer to their goalkeeper and close that channel, So we need to adapt to that. We need to have Turnbull coming into the penalty spot, or has Tom Rogic scored the goal yet this year? I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, good question. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Just like, I know it's slightly off topic, right? But that's kind of one of my instinctual problems when it comes to having a very, very specific and rigid identity in a team and having everybody have a very rigid role. Is as soon as a team works out, and I'm talking about like Ange's style of play or Roger's style of play or whatever, when it's very, very rigid, all it takes is, it's good for a couple of months or a couple of weeks or whatever, maybe a year, and then teams work it out, and then you're almost back to square one. So yeah, versatility and variety is what we need to continuously bring. And maybe from, and we'll obviously discuss it from last night's game and stuff, we might actually be seeing that with some actual squad depth, different styles of players and stuff. But
that's actually what I was just about to say, John. Like, a lot of guys out there don't have the level of experience in terms of seeing Ange's teams that I've got from over the years, and I don't want to bang on about it, but in 96 through 98 at South Melbourne, his teams used to get the ball wide, look for crosses in. If they didn't get it to their target man, it'd drop off, and then it would be played by the secondary striker, right? Then he's evolved, and then it was at Brisbane, it was get it wide, but then they'd have the striker be offside, but then the ball would go out wide to the winger, who would then sprint past the striker and cut it back to where Kyogo's making these runs. But because he was offside originally, now once the ball's past him, he's onside, they can pass it and square it up, and there's no defenders there. So that's how Brisbane scored a lot of their goals in that Barcelona era. So that was now has evolved again now where he's looking to come back through the middle a lot more. At Victory, he had 2 10s and 2 wingers. He didn't have a centre forward. So he'll evolve depending on what players are available. So
that's what you need. That's exactly what you need.
So we're seeing the evolution now that he's getting guys in. Like, you got Giakoumakis coming through. You've got guys like Rogic and Turnbull playing together, but then sometimes take one of them out and you put Bitton in. Or, you got guys at the back starting to build that consistent back line, which is something we've spoken about as well. But now that he's getting some squad depth, he's been able to rotate guys. And I think we'll see a lot more of these strings to his bow that Ange has. Because when he was with the Socceroos, it was the same deal. He'd pick his lineup based on who we're playing. And say at the World Cup, you're playing against a Dutch team, you're playing against Chile. They play a lot different to each other, but we still had a good count of ourselves in them. So I'm not too worried in terms of what we're seeing, but everyone's saying, oh, this Ange ball thing, yeah, it's a great headline, but there's a lot more to Ange than just playing inverted wing backs and get the ball wide and cross it in. There's a lot more to it than that.
Well, Ange Postecoglou, we all know from recent, even from short, any interview you listen to, he calls a spade a spade. And when he was doing his interview last night, they were like, oh, talking to him about his style and kind of hinting at Ange ball. And he's like, look, if we can sum it up in one word, it's relentlessness. So he's not talking about formations. He's not talking about systems. He's talking about just having a relentless style of football is what he envisions, and whether that's adaptable to, it seems like he is happy to, as you say, have that be highly adaptable, as long as the players give him that relentless closing down and tempo that he's looking for, that the rest of it can be worked out game by game and week by week and month by month, depending on who's available and who the opposition are, which is great. Great to hear, And when they asked him again last night about Jota, and went, oh yeah, the guy's like, oh yeah, Jota had a great game, or what do you think of his performance? And he went, yeah, he's getting a lot better at closing down the defenders. I'm like, okay. So the first thing he didn't talk immediately about like the cross for the 2 goals or whatever. He's like, yeah, he's closing down, he's getting really good. He's buying into it.
That's good to see. Like, he took it up, but everyone's got to improve. Everyone's got to develop as players. So it's good to see. But yeah, what you're saying there, if there is one thing that's Ange, it's relentlessness and playing with speed. They're the 2 things that haven't changed. As he said in that first little behind the scenes training, and stop. And that's something that goes right back to the first time I saw an Ange Postecoglou coach team back in 96 or 97, back in the old NSL days here. So all these teams have played with the same. They were the fastest. They played the fastest pace, and they were the fittest teams in the league. So correct
me if I'm wrong. Is that not what Klopp was saying about heavy metal football? Is that not what that term refers to? Tempo and resilience, and we've been wanting to see that a while at Celtic. Especially under Lennon wasn't really there. So
we had it. Yeah. We had it in spells with Dyla, and we had it in spells with Rodgers.
Yeah, that was probably the last time we did.
And then letting kill the fitness again.
Yeah, Strachan had it.
Yep.
Yes, Strachan had it for about. I don't know if you remember the spell where it was like, oh, we're 5-0 up, but we're going to keep going, and you end up Neil Lennon scoring a goal and beating Dunfermline 10-1. Do you know what I mean? Like, Celtic were relentlessly attacking then at that point.
That's what you want. That's what wins games.
Now, Sean, you put on about a food bank collection at Motherwell. Do you want to just have a chat about that?
Yeah, just wanted to give the guys a quick shout out because that was really good. It came out beforehand, like the Celtic Twitter. I can't remember the specific accounts that were tweeting it. We're like, oh, Motherwell are doing another food bank collection. So I know we've had a lot of success at Celtic Park with the Green Brigade running those. So I just wanted to give the Motherwell fans a nod for doing the same. And from what I gathered, the Celtic support kind of really stood up as well and helped out there.
It's
obviously sad that it's necessary, but it's great, great.
Well, that's kind of what went through my head there, to be honest. They shouldn't exist, but it's good when, we all fun.
Yeah. What did you, before we move on from the game, did you, everyone's coming out and saying the penalty thing we've talked about, but did you think that tackle was a red card?
Which tackle are we talking about? Reminds me, sorry.
Mugabe on Turnbull.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Actually, I thought it was more of a yellow myself, but the fact it wasn't even given as a free kick was pretty shocking.
Well, that definitely kicked around on social media, didn't it? The fact that it seems to be that, you know, when the referees do have a duty of care, don't they, towards any player that's on the pitch, and it seems to be very much, you know, if it's Celtic, it's fair game, but maybe if it's the other team on the other side of Glasgow, it's also fair game, but on the other way. Do you know what I mean? Not having a player sent off since December 2019. That's very, very suspicious statistic. That's a very strange thing, you know. And I'm glad Turnbull walked away from it unscathed in many sense, but that could have been a long-term injury.
Yeah, there was. I don't know if you I didn't really give it much attention at the time, but I went back and looked at the weekends there at the Ryan Porteous red card at Ibrox.
Yeah,
and he's going in fast. His foot's over the ball. He's actually got one leg folded back, so it's not a 2-footed challenge. He's leading with one leg, but it has gone over the ball with his studs up, and it's not actually, but it's not directed at the player. But you know, it looks like there's maybe some contact kind of thing. So I was like, when they gave it as a red card, I was kind of, yeah, okay, maybe. Like, it's one of those ones. It's like it could have been. You've seen it being a yellow, you know. But then the weekend just there against Hearts, Joe Aribo, who was the victim, does the exact same thing. And do you know what I mean? Like nothing. Like
I know. I mean, there's like I know it's dead easy for maybe non-Celtic fans to call us biased or obsessed or whatever, but that's a big question mark, right? That's a bit suspicious. How long can we really accept, you know, quote unquote honest mistakes, or you know, do you know what I mean? Or maybe just the quality of refereeing is poor. It seems awfully suspicious for a long period of time. So yeah. And at the end of the day, look, the refs are there to instill the rules, but they're also there to make sure that the players don't get long-term injuries. So they have to manage, you know, challenges like that by severe punishments in the sense of a red card or a warning, and to get neither when you've got an absolute. Who was it? Was it Beaton that ref to the Hearts?
Sorry,
game. Was it?
I don't actually know.
I think it was. To have like an absolute, you know, unobscured view of that type of challenge and to do nothing. I don't know.
And the thing is, if he's looking at it VAR, he doesn't change his mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the sort of one that's subjective. It's the referee's opinion. So no matter how good his view is, even if he goes and looks at VAR, he's not going to change his mind. Do you know what I mean? So we can't even say VAR is going to solve the problem, because it's just about standards and subjective.
It is about standards.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, VAR is not going to solve that problem. It was like when they said putting the extra officials behind the goal was going to solve the issue, and then you get the one where the guy handballs it on the line, and the fifth or sixth official is 5 yards away and doesn't see it somehow. I don't know. Like, it was unobstructed. I don't know how he didn't see it or chose not to see it. Yeah.
Do you know? Did you remember when it was Rodgers' era and stuff? And there was a lot of chat at the time about changing the referee standards and actually trying to make. We've just seemed to have ignored that and just maybe not swept it under the rug, but we've just moved on from that conversation as if but nothing has actually changed. So you know, we were talking about maybe getting refs into full time instead of part time, and you know, getting them better training facilities and better salaries to make it more lucrative to attract different people and stuff, and nothing's changed.
I think as well they need to bring in someone from a better league as a performance director for the referees, because it's just
100%.
It's like just a wank circle. Do you know what I mean? They're all just like, yeah, great decision, yeah, good for you. You know, just patting each other on the back in this big circle. Get someone else in to kind of raise the standards. Do you know what I mean? That's going to have oversight. If that's Pierluigi Collina, give him $1 million a year. I don't know, whatever. Like, it could be any one of these retired officials in England. What's his name? Dermot Gallagher. Oh, the other one I forgot the name of. The bald guy. He was pretty good.
Yeah, the bald. That's the thing. The famous baldy ref. Yeah. Yeah. How would that work in the sense of the SPFL, like association? Would all of the teams need to agree on that? Would it have to be?
And I know the SFA actually run that, so
It was the SFA,
they don't actually need agreement from anyone really, other than to find funding. It's really it's fully their purview.
Well, there you go. I guess that says a lot. Maybe is it funding? Was that the problem? Is it the SFA?
Well, they're paying someone to do it, so just pay a little bit extra and get someone better.
Yeah. I'll just scrap them all. Start again from the bottom up. Just try and have zero bias.
Have you noticed they've never went on strike again since the last time when those the Luxembourg officials came in and did a better job for one weekend?
Yeah.
They've never heard the word strike ever since then. Like, how dare you question our integrity? We're going on strike for one weekend. Actually, these guys look all right. We better not say strike again.
Shite. They would quite like us to piss off, to be honest. Maybe
let's just change the rules so we can give someone a ban instead when they criticise us. That'll do. That's it. Just keep going. Anyway, do you want to talk about the Ferencvaros game? I guess we've kind of hinted at it.
Yeah.
Did you watch it? Did you get up or did you watch it this morning?
I did. So I was saying this to Jarrod off pod. 1:30 in the morning in Sydney is a really awkward time because for me at the moment, I'm a bit of insomnia, so I'm probably going to stay up to maybe about then. But comes close to half time, maybe 50 minutes, and it's 2:45 in the morning, and you're absolutely shattered, and you just want to sleep, but you're watching the games, So I ended up staying up and watching it all, and then just being exhausted today. But yeah,
it's not always the start time; it's the finish time.
It's the finish time. That's exactly it. But I was surprised. I was shocked in a pleasant way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought they looked really good first 10 minutes, and then they just went into themselves after that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why.
Yeah. So I looked up. And the other thing as well, I've been practicing. I've been practicing saying it. So are you ready? You ready? Ferencvaros.
Oh, nice.
First time.
That's straight out of Budapest.
God, I don't know why it is, but my brain just gets frazzled when any sort of Baltic or Eastern European name, surname, team. I'm like, oh Jesus, how do you say that? Too many C's and Z's and K's and Y's.
Stupid Cyrillic C.
Yeah. There was
the number five attached to the bottom of it.
Oh God. Anyway, so I was looking up their stats before the game, and they seem to be somewhere similar to Celtic just now, in the sense that they're trying to rebuild, and their form is just coming together. As we got into this game yesterday, but from the last time we played them to last night, really surprised, and we complete dominance. So I agree, the first 10 minutes was a bit frantic, and it always kind of is in European games for Celtic, but just and all the stats show that. Just utter dominance, which was good to see.
I mean, I disagree with you slightly in the sense that I actually think we dominated them last year as well. Like I don't know if I remember back, and El Yunusi had a good goal chopped off. We hit the crossbar. We had 20 odd shots in goal, and then they just scored 2 goals against Cabachans, one of them on the counter attack. And I actually felt we were more dominant last year than we were this year, if I'm being totally honest. And I actually feel like looking back, that was like the end of the season when, like, as soon as we were out the Champions League that night, like the players like Edward and Jam just chucked it, and that was pretty much the death. That was the last good game we really played last year. But we got sucker punched, and Cabachans cost us the game. And so when everyone's talking about, oh, it's so different, the team's different, but like the last 30 minutes last night, like once we scored that goal, like we were really struggling to create chances. I was, texting my dad saying, we don't really look like scoring here, kind of thing. And then great play in the corner between Montgomery and Jota. Absolutely pings it. And if you watch the replay of the ball, like the camera behind the ball doesn't even move in the air. It just goes like straight, and like it's barely even spinning. It's just a absolute knuckle ball. Yeah. And it just goes straight to Kyogo's feet. One touch, goal. It was a unbelievable goal, because like it looks like when he hits it, you're like, oh, this is going nowhere. And then the camera pans, and Kyogo, like, wait, Kyogo's in space. Wait, it's landed right in his feet. What? And then wait, hold on, it's in the corner. What's going on? This is just it's just an absolute Route 1, but without John Hartson. Do you know what I mean? Like, score many goals like that since Hartson and Sutton left. But it was good. And then we created a lot. Yeah, and we created a lot of chances after that. And I was just because it opened the game up a bit, but Postecoglou made the point post-match that he'd said at halftime, if we keep doing what we're doing, then they're going to get tired. So he was basically saying it wasn't that we opened the game up, it was just that they got tired.
Well, I very much thought that was Ferencvaros. Oh, I said that I was close there. I thought that was their tactics. I thought that's what they were going to try and do to us, to be honest. I thought they were going to sit deep, absorb as much as they possibly could, and then try and hit us on the counter and try and sneak a goal or two. But it seemed that relentless. That's the right word. We were just consistently battering their box, their goal, I guess, their keeper, trying to do as much as we possibly could. That I'm so glad that, like, I know it was probably through circumstances, but I'm so glad that our loan deal with Jota has an option to buy at the end. Because at the moment, I mean, obviously, season's not finished. You could have a complete, fall off the cliff sort of stuff. But at the moment, God, that's a bargain for what he is. And he's only going to get stronger and better.
The negative of that, is that he can, if his head gets turned, he even though we have the option, he can still decline to sign with us.
Oh, is that right? Is that how that works? Is that all option to buys? Yeah.
Yeah. So like it was gonna yeah, we want to keep him happy. Yeah.
Well, that and the way that you keep him, let's be honest, the way you keep a player like him happy is you fucking get into the Champions League. That's what happens. You win your domestic league and you get your qualification into the Champions League.
I was going to say get my Scottish girlfriend, but that's okay.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, or that, yeah.
Because that's how Mikel Arteta still floats around like a bad smell, and Massimo Donati can't get him away from Scotland because he's missus. You know what I mean? Like that's who tell. It's the missus that tells you where to play. For half these guys.
Maybe that's not a bad shout. I was just looking up the XG stats, which I know is one of these modern stats that everybody loves to rattle off, but I like them anyway. First half Celtic's XG was 0.5, which says a lot, to be honest. And then second half 3.25. So that just shows you the two different. That just that's a game of two halves, isn't it? The old idiom.
Yeah, because we had the penalty saved, and then we had 2 1-on-1s that were missed, and then the first half there was that one chance from Jota that wasn't even a good chance. But yeah, like when we missed that penalty, we didn't let it affect us, and I mean immediately. Like if you go back and watch it back when it's saved, they're all straight away. Like try to create, like the ball doesn't go out of play, the keeper saves it, and they're trying to create a new attack straight away. Like there's no head down, feeling sorry for themselves. They're just keep going straight on it again. And that was like talking about relentless in every facet. And that was the best bit. That was why we kept creating so many chances. That's how we got the second goal. Was sometimes that sort of thing can really, it's a mentality thing. So the mentality was good. I like that,
Absolutely. And I oddly wasn't that, it sounds odd, wasn't that fast when McGregor missed. I didn't feel like, oh Christ, that's us chucked the win here. I felt like more goals were coming, but we probably should have ended on, I don't know, 4 or 5 to be honest. With the amount of Turnbull had one towards the 80th minute, 90th minute. Jota had one in the sort of injury time. Mikey Johnson came on and was just looking deadly. Do you know what I mean? So it probably 2-0 probably doesn't flatter us enough, but just overall, I was really, really impressed. And I think, Betis and Leverkusen are probably going to take points off each other. And so I was probably before this game thinking, football after Christmas has gone, maybe not now. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we could get third place and go into the conference, or could we sneak a second? What do you reckon?
Well, the commentator last night said that third place goes into the conference, which I wasn't fully aware of, even though I was trying and failing to find out. So even if we finish third, that's football after Christmas. And, so I think if we draw in Hungary, then we're pretty set, I think. Because I don't see them taking... Because if we draw in Hungary, we've got the head-to-head, so they would have to pick up at least 4 points from Betis and Leverkusen, and that's not going to happen.
That's just not happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we get a draw or better in Hungary, we're set for football after Christmas. But if we can get the win, and look, it really depends on the Leverkusen Betis results. If they both win one each, then it becomes a bit tough. But if one of them only picks up a single point or loses both games, then that opens it up for us.
I would like in this group and how beforehand, not nervous, but it's a strong group. If we could get second out of this, I think that'd be a really good indictment for Ange's system and how quickly he's turned it around. It would get a bit more of international clout. I think it's easy for us to say when we watch him domestically, watch the team domestically, like, okay, this is a big improvement from where we thought we were going to be and where we were last season.
Mm-hmm.
And finishing second in that group would also give a bit more international clout, I think, for Ange, which is good.
And even if we win another 2 games, for example, then that really helps the coefficient and keeps us in that Champions League spot. So even if we don't win the league, or whether we win the league this year or not, you still want it to be there next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that straight entry. So you do want to kind of have a couple of wins. So you even maybe want Sevco to win, sort of grudgingly this week as well, you know.
Yeah, begrudgingly is the right word, yeah. Now, what did you think of the banner, the Green Brigade banner? And also, I think they're called the Boys. Did they not have a banner as well?
They did. They had one that was aimed at the police and UEFA. Yeah. And I think theirs was more on the nose, which was just a bit less offensive, which was just police and UEFA, no respect for fans, or something along those lines. And I totally agree with the sentiment. I don't like the kind of immature game of brinksmanship that the Green Brigade play, where they just think they're too above the law and that it doesn't matter how many fines Celtic get, blah, 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 blah. Again, I agree with their sentiment. I agree with them making a protest, but do you know what I mean? Like, you can be clever about it. You don't have to just be on like straight up offensive. And they've tried to do it this time, but it's not even subtle. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to be a lot more subtle than that, than just swapping the 2 letters in the word fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like, I don't know.
It does scream slightly of immaturity. I genuinely know. I do quite like the Green Brigade. I think they bring a lot. I often agree with what they're saying. What the problem, and I also think they have an absolute right, like you're saying, to protest in any manner they deem fit, right?
Well, not any manner, but yes, protest in some manner.
Lawfully, yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
Always has to be lawfully, right? If it's it's not. To me, it's not a protest if it's unlawful, right? The problem I have is when it detrimentally affects the team or the club, really. And it's easy to say that, like, oh, well, it's only 24 grand, or it's only 64 grand, or it's only 100k, but that adds up. And it's really if every single fine that the Green Brigade caused, they paid for, like they did, I think, with the Palestinian flags they
didn't pay that one.
Oh, there was one where
it was match the fine for Palestine. So it wasn't that they were offering to pay it. It was we were going to try and gain some moral high ground by. I mean, look, I actually totally disagree with the fact that we got that fine and fully support the message that they sent. And even though I accuse them of immature belligerence very often, that not on that occasion. Okay, I think they were fully in the right in that one.
Yeah.
And what they were doing was climbing to an even higher moral high ground by saying, well, UEFA, we're just going to show you up here by having the fans raise the same amount of money and donate that to Palestine to show that we really strongly believe in this cause. And that was great. I donated £20 myself to that one. I was working in Qatar at the time, so all the Palestinian kids that I was teaching were like, some of them were in tears. Do you know what I mean? It was brilliant. Like, it was one of the best things any supporters group has ever done, and I stand by that. But so many of the things they do just have a little bit of belligerence and immaturity about it that isn't necessary. Like, they have that Palestine one shows that they have it within them to be smarter and to be higher and better, and they should try to rise to that level more often, I think.
I agree. Or, I mean, look, if it's less about virtue signalling, which is the impression that I get with the Green Brigade, and more about actually wanting to make like a voice heard and a change in European football. You'd go the complete opposite way, and you would almost ignore any type of fine. But the fact that they sit in the middle and they get this sort of, this very, very middle ground fine just to get enough clout up between the right type of people in Celtic Park and stuff, the people that agree with them and stuff. And it screams of virtue signaling to me. For me, do your protest outside, take your pictures, get all the media attention, stick it on social media. It has the same amount of effect to what you're currently doing without all of the fines. And or do what you're saying and just go big international statements and just, screw the fines and do whatever you can outside. But they don't. They sit in this middle ground just to, I don't know, appease a certain type of extreme left-wing person. But
yeah, I agree. I do actually agree with the sentiment that it's shit and stupid that we were playing at 3:30 on a Tuesday afternoon. Like, that was ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, I don't know much about it. I haven't really followed it in detail, but is there much anybody could have done? I don't really know. Like, what was the alternative? I thought they pretty much determined that was the only time they could play.
So because of this climate change thing in 2 weeks, they had to flip the home and away. So we couldn't play at home in 2 weeks' time. So they brought it. So they flipped the home and away with Ferencvaros. So we had to play at home this week. But we couldn't play at home on the Thursday because Sevco were playing at home. And they were scheduled first. So we can't play two the same night in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Whatever reason, police. I don't know if it's police or UEFA for that one.
And also, a bunch of Rangers and Celtic fans drunk in the same city. That's not a great idea. Yeah.
That too. And then, so what they did then, they brought it to the Tuesday, but you're not allowed to play at a time when it clashes with the Champions League on TV. So there's obviously no Champions League football happening in Scotland, but it's like, nope, no TV clash. Okay, so we'll have the game finish at 5:30. What time's Champions League start? 7:45. Okay, so we'll be fitting another game in that gap or something? Do you know what I mean? Like, why not start at 5:30?
Yeah. So that's what it was then. That's that. See, I didn't know that detail. That's all the TV stuff. That I totally get that. I mean, from the impression that I got in the red, what I was reading online was they couldn't do it because Rangers were playing on, like you said, on a day plus the climate conference. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it was just a scheduling thing. That's the only time and day they could play. I think that is an utter nonsense, to be honest.
But also, what are they thinking? Like, people are going to be like, actually, I won't watch Atletico versus Liverpool because Celtic Ferencvaros is on the other channel. Do you know what I mean? Like, who? Like, was there 5 people in the world or something that are going to be tossing a coin between Celtic and Liverpool? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah. But look, I think we've probably talked about the Green Brigade enough, given them enough attention. But let's see. Probably a fine's coming. Hey, that's probably probably the next thing. All right. Well, do you want to run us through the Celtic women and B team results?
Yep, not been too much happening, so just a quick one. The Celtic women had 2 games in the last week. They beat Hibs 2-1. Hibs have actually been decent in recent years. They're probably one of the 4th or 5th best teams, so that's a good result. But then we had a disappointing 2-2 draw with Spartans. It was a late equaliser from Celtic, so Celtic had lots of chances, but we're still 2-1 down going into injury time. Got a late equaliser. Luckily, Sevco and Glasgow City, I think, both dropped points at some point in the last week as well. So it's basically as is from last week. So we're still 3rd in the table. We're still 2 points off Sevco at the top, and we're still level with Glasgow City in 2nd/3rd place. But on the 31st of October, which is 11 days from now, depending on when you're listening, Celtic play Sevco in our next game. And that's a Sunday, 4 p.m. So if anyone's interested, get along to that. B team, no game since the last pod, so we're still 9th in the table. Next fixture is Monday against Cumbernauld Colts. That's it. Not much to say on the B team.
No, but hopefully they move up the table a wee bit, and soon. I think they've probably stuttered a wee bit at the beginning of the season. I think they've had some matches called off or something like that as well. They're not quite the same matches played as everybody else, are they?
It's been they're a good few fixtures behind, but it's been really weird. It's not like I don't even know if it's getting called off or if it's just not scheduling them or something. I'm not sure how it's also kind of ill defined. Like, and they're saying it's a 1-year trial, so it's almost like they're just making it up as they go,
or making it as difficult as possible.
Yeah, whatever's happening. Yeah, like
I mean, look, maybe at that level, is it League One they're in or League Two?
No, it's the Lowland League, so it's below. It's the one below League Two, so it's the highest non-professional.
Yes, yeah. So my brother plays somewhere around. I can't have a clue. It all changed recently, so he plays somewhere around there. I think it's the Lowland League, or it might be one of the other ones. And just knowing his experience, sometimes these smaller stadiums, weather, don't have enough volunteers, something like that, it gets called off in an instant. Do you know what I mean? So maybe some of that's been going on as well.
Yeah, you think?
Smaller teams.
I don't know, because I follow them on Twitter, so you'd expect it to be posted if that was the case. I feel like it's just a scheduling thing. I don't know why. Yeah,
it probably is something as simple as that. But yeah, all right. Well, the last thing that, well, not the last thing. The next thing that Jarrod stuck on the run sheet is the rumours linking Steven Gerrard and Eddie Howe to the new Saudi Arabian FC, Newcastle United.
Yeah, if somebody wants to tell me how Steven Gerrard is an upgrade on Steve Bruce, I'll just sit here and just wait for a minute. Like, I don't know, what is that? Is that try to sell tickets or something, like big name? I don't get it. There's no way Steven Gerrard is a better manager than Steve Bruce.
Well, I don't know if you saw this, but just before we jumped into the pod, it was announced, breaking news, that Steve Bruce has stepped down.
I didn't see that, no. I'm not surprised, but yeah, I didn't see that.
So that's, I can't remember, 13 days, 14 days after the Saudi takeover, he's now stepped down by mutual consent. So something's happening dead soon, to be honest. And Gerrard's up there as one of the contenders, but
that doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's exactly what you were saying before. I think it's pure reputation. Yeah, it's box office stuff. Getting Steven Gerrard in when, especially the English media has perpetuated that he is a massive success in the Scottish system, and they have, because he's won one trophy in 3 years and toppled Celtic. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's a huge achievement for Steven Gerrard and English media in general. I think that's a big achievement for them, because now their narrative is on track, right? So it's easy for somebody like Steven Gerrard, who has no managerial experience, to come up to Scotland and win the league within 3 years. But we'll just ignore all of the anonymous loans that Rangers have been getting and all that stuff to keep them afloat. But I absolutely agree. How Steven Gerrard is a step up from Steve Bruce is mental. I think Eddie Howe's a good shout.
Eddie Howe's a great shout. Yeah, the name that was kicking about that made most sense was Brendan Rodgers, but then his agent or whatever leaked that he was holding out for Man City or one of the top 4 teams. So
sure he is.
So do you know what? Like, it actually does make sense, because these guys, I mean, who else are they going to appoint? Do you know what I mean, they're looking for someone with a proven track record in the English Premier League, and Rodgers has that, And,
yeah, he's look, as much as I still have animosity towards him and stuff, I think historically, coming out now, there's probably reasons why I left, but which is problems that we've had for a while. But I still think he's probably the best British manager kicking about. I can't think of anybody who's better from.
Next on the list would be Eddie Howe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or is British the right word? I don't know.
British Isles, British Isles, from the UK. Yeah. So Eddie Howe, I actually think, is a good shout. If you're Eddie Howe, though, you're going to want to put a big kind of clause in your contract, because you surely know that you're a placeholder for when Pochettino or one of these, like Van Gaal or it's basically you're just a placeholder until one of these guys becomes available. Unless he does a sensational job, in which case fine. But if you're him, if I'm Howe, I'm putting clauses into my contract that say, if you're going to sack me, you need to give me 20 million or whatever.
Yeah. Something. Well, you could go ridiculous, because the amount of money that they've got kicking about is, you go 50 million, to be honest, and they'll probably happily pay that. Just to get, if Newcastle went from second bottom of the Premier League and finish mid-table under Howe, that'd be a successful season for him.
Oh, as the way it is at the moment, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, but did they just block the EPL? I don't know who, to be honest.
The association,
whatever it was, they just blocked, put a temporary block on owners creating sponsorship deals or something. Like basically putting a block on the Saudis giving money straight to Newcastle, which is exactly the thing that Man City have been doing the whole time.
Yeah, it is pretty mad. Yeah,
the exact same thing. Like they're sponsored in every way they can be by Etihad, which is like the Abu Dhabi group, who own Man City. So they've just been chucking money down this hole of Man City. Nobody's been complaining. But now the Newcastle want to do it. It's like, let's just block that.
Yeah, when they've got 10 times the money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that could have serious... I think City and Newcastle were the only teams to vote against it. I might be
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
That could have massive implications for City, to be honest, is all of that sponsorship and stuff getting removed because it's all owned by the Emirati. I don't know how you say it.
Yeah. Abu Dhabi Group,
Abu Dhabi Group, yeah.
So because Sterling's wanting out as well. Yeah, I don't know. Like they're looking in some weird places. They're talking about signing Lewandowski. They seem to be dialing it down a bit, just kind of like Barcelona. They're kind of bargain shopping a bit at the moment. So
you would think they would have to, though, right? They would, and look, maybe we'll see just. Oh Christ! I'd be surprised if it's not just the next decade of just Newcastle dominating. You want to see that?
I mean, when you think
£305 billion.
Yeah, but they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to just give that money. Do you know what I mean? Like they have to. Do you know what I mean? Like there's financial fair play. Man City have been getting around it by having the stupid sponsorship deals, like the Abu Dhabi group sponsoring the training ground for like £400 million, but that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like that's how they've been getting around it, is that the sponsorship's not included in the. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the directors can't just give buckets of money. It has to be. Does that make sense?
Done through yes, it does. Yeah, you have to go through the right avenues and channels to actually fund the team, rather than just here's 10 billion, spend it on however many players you want, buy a new team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which they would love to do, but that's
and of course they would. 100%. Yeah.
So when you're playing Chapman and it's like, Saudi Arabia Investment Group has bought Celtic, and you're like, fucking yes.
Yeah.
I can buy any player I want now. Do you know what I mean? Like, but that's fantasy football. Do you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, it is. It is. Welcome back, Jarrod. He's come back to us.
He's come back to life. He has risen.
Bloody time.
He has risen.
Computer issues and all that stuff, mate.
Furious. Wanted to smash my computer into the wall.
Yeah. Sometimes technology fails us all, but so we were just talking about Gerrard being linked to the new Newcastle.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because you also see Eddie Howe's linked with him, having talks with him today. Steve Bruce has been sacked today.
So we talk about that, yeah.
So it's I think more than likely, I think Gerrard or Lampard or Howe, they're not going to get a Conte. They're going to need probably that manager with a bit of clout that people will want to come play for him, who have that name or reputation, towards Lampard or Gerrard. We'll have them for a few years, then they'll sack them, and then they'll bring in them version of Mancini, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what we were saying as well.
What Man City did. So,
we're saying Eddie Howe should get a £20 million sacking clause in his contract if he takes it up, because he knows he's only there for 18 months.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I don't think it'll be Gerrard. I think they'll take Lampard, because at least I thought Lampard did a decent job at Chelsea, the young squad and bringing guys in, and with them having a transfer embargo and all that sort of stuff. So I think he's more likely than Gerrard is. But if Gerrard goes, doesn't bother me at all. He's not even the tactical genius there anyway. Does he take Michael Beale with him? Because he's the main guy.
Yeah, and there's rumours that he wants out because the Sevco board are so skint that they're talking about he has to sell players to keep the lights on, and apparently he wants out because of that. I don't know. It's just a rumor, but that's what they're saying.
While I was offline waiting for my computer to wake up, I had a read, and apparently Goldson's saying he hasn't heard anything from the club about a new contract.
That's true. Yeah,
he's out of contract at the end of the season. So realistically, if Gerrard was to go and he wanted to do him a favour, then he could say, "Okay, I'll go there, and I'll sign Goldson, I'll sign Morelos, I'll sign a couple of other guys from years to Tavernier back down, even though they're not at that level." Because the current Newcastle team's pretty crap anyway. So, yeah.
Plus Gerrard will get all the EBT kickbacks for signing Sevco players as well, like Graham Souness used to get.
Exactly. Souness don't do it, mate. So, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one, but watch this space. But no on our luck or what will happen. If Gerrard goes, he'll take a few with him and I'll give him some money. But then does that improve our options, because they're weaker, we strengthen again in January and off we go?
Well, I can tell you for sure, if they sell, like the players that they're talking about selling are Nathan Peterson, Joe Aribo, Alfredo Morelos, Hadji was the other one. And if they sell those players, they are replacing them with SPFL players or English League One players. They're not, it's certainly not overnight, at least, replacing them with the same standards. So I don't see how it can hurt us.
Well, those guys weren't at that standard even when they were signed at Rangers. Like
exactly, yeah.
Let's be honest. Aribo was playing in the Championship or League One with Charlton.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had
Celtic rejected them. Celtic rejected Aribo.
And then who else was there? Arfield was playing at a rubbish level. Who are the other ones? Patterson's a youth kid. Mm-hmm. Morelos was playing in Finland or something like that. Yep. So come on now, let's be honest here.
Yeah, no, it can only hurt their standards unless they're planning to spend the same money, which they're not. We know they're not.
Right, they don't have that money anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So it would look, and we should never measure our success based on the other side, but it would definitely help our campaign if Gerrard went, Gerrard went, and all of the players with them.
Yeah, not even, but maybe they'll bring in Steve Bruce. I don't know, but but change takes time, and that can only help us if some sort of change happens this year. Surely that can only be a good thing for us.
Yeah,
like settled squads are going to be more stable, better. I get that there needs to be a bit of recycling and refreshing, but if the manager, assistant, and 2 or 3 players leave in the middle of the season, I don't see how that can be a negative for us.
Well, the biggest advantage Rangers had coming into this season was that they had the settled squad. Gerrard had been in the chair for 3 years or whatever. He'd built his programs. They had the youth development, their scouting, their director of football was in place, everything that they needed. And they had the course, and they'd gone and recruited guys to add to that. So realistically, if he leaves and takes a few of those guys with him, then we're in a flux at the moment where we're rebuilding our squad. They'll be in the same boat. So it actually works perfect.
Mm-hmm. Good for Hearts.
And Hibs.
Yeah. Well, Dundee United's. Yeah. It's Hearts and Dundee United's at the moment.
It could be absolutely catastrophic for them, to be honest. I mean, they've got, not that I remember off the top of my head, but it's something like they're in £40 million of debt just now, right? And they have to find that at some point, right?
If they're not actually, though, they're not in debt.
Are they not actually? They're not in debt?
No, they're in deficit. Look, they're losing money, but they're not in debt. That's difficult to explain. They're not borrowing it from anyone. They're just running a deficit, and the directors are just paying it off as it comes.
All right, okay. So they're in it.
Then exchanging that for more shares.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Exactly. So they owe somebody. No,
they don't owe. Yeah. So they're 100% running a deficit, but they don't owe. They do owe some money, but not much. Like today,
and at some point, these directors are going to say, right,
enough's enough.
Enough's enough. I want my money back.
They won't ask for it back, but they'll stop. They'll just stop
They'll just stop. Yeah. Right. Yeah. They'll
It'll
stop.
be like Romanov was at Hearts, where he was putting all this money into the club back in the day, and then suddenly it's like, nah, I'm not going to do any more. And then they went to the wall, and then they basically administration and all this sort of shit. So it's going to put him in that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, for them to not get into the Champions League next season might cripple them completely into administration.
2011 all over again.
Yeah, right. So if Stevie G's to leave at this point in the season, for them to then find a new manager and get going again, that could ruin them. That could absolutely ruin them.
There's another thing here, John, as well, though, is think of when Jarrod came in 3 years ago. They didn't have a backer shirt sponsor. They didn't have hardly any advertising around their stadium. Now you see one of their games, there's advertising boards everywhere. Their corporate partners are through the roof. They've got backer shirt sponsors. They've got a company that owns 2 gambling mobs that just alternate the shirt front sponsors. They've built up all these businesses and, corporate partners because of the Gerrard factor. Let's be honest here. It's not because of Rangers. It's the Gerrard factor. So if he leaves, how many of these guys are going to hang around?
Yeah, and on a slightly different tangent, if the UK anti-betting stuff actually kicks off, that their biggest sponsor could be booted as well. I mean, mind you,
and
so could ours. Yeah, so could ours. Yeah,
but don't mention it for us because we got Red Bull in the wings.
But if they ban betting sponsors and then they ban alcohol sponsors, who have we got left? Back to CR Smith. Back to selling double glazing.
I'd look, honestly, if it happens, I'd take Red Bull in a bloody heartbeat. To be honest, that's the next big.
As a sponsor,
that's me personally. Yeah, as a sponsor, no RB Celtics, thank you. I'm not having that. But yeah, I'll have them as a sponsor.
Don't all of their teams have
that? Well, I think the conversation online is it's just going to be a sponsorship deal rather than Red Bull actually buying the naming rights of Celtic Park or the team or anything like that.
I heard that one was the naming rights and it was going to be like Red Bull Celtic Parkhead.
Gross. No, thank you.
Oh my God, I'd rather people call it Parkers, man.
Yeah.
But then the mock-up tops with the Red Bull logo on the front doesn't look that bad.
I agree.
But if you also think people are still now shitty about having the Ford People's red and blue sponsorship, so Red Bull are hardly going to change the colours. Do you know what I mean? So
they actually do though. That's the thing. Like if you look at the MLS team, they've got yellow in one of their colours. So the middle where there's normally red or whatever, it's actually yellow on theirs.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
So the mock-ups, so their colours are red, yellow, and white shirt. I think it's blue shorts, but then they've got red and yellow trim on their top. So the logo is like red and yellow on the white shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the mock-ups we've seen, and it's all green and white edging with yellow in the middle.
Right. Okay.
See, I was thinking about this, and I know this is a massive tangent, right? But if it wasn't a case of naming rights, so it stayed Celtic and it stayed Celtic Park and all that stuff, right? But you were brought into that Red Bull system, would you take it?
For the stadium, you mean? Or
no, for the whole system. So you'd have I think it's the New York Red Bulls, right? New York Red Bulls, Celtic, Salzburg, Leipzig as this sort of hierarchy of the Red Bull team. Maybe Salzburg and Celtic might interchange a wee bit there, but
I say the question sits on where we fit in within that structure. Are we the third string or are we the second string team?
Well, I mean, Salzburg for a while been playing better than Leipzig, right? So I think it's just a case of being part of a system rather than a hierarchy. But I mean, I don't know. I'm okay with that. I
think I'd prefer the City group, to be honest. If
would you?
Yeah. I mean, there was talk about that after what we were talking about earlier, the Fine for Palestine thing. There was talk of some investment from these Palestine sympathetic Middle East places coming in, which is why we started doing the Middle East tours in the winter break, was to do with that as well, I think. I think City Group's more realistic. I feel like I only really know about the German, Austrian, and the US Red Bull teams. I don't know about any of the other ones. So I would need to maybe do some more research on that and see exactly what they are selling, as in what are Red Bull demanding for their money. I feel like it would be too much of Celtic's soul to make it palatable for me.
The perfect one to look at, Sean, is have a look at the Red Bull one from Brazil.
Okay.
Because
Who's
I've
that?
heard I can't remember the name of the club, but I've heard there's some dodgy shit down with that club.
Okay.
I mean, look, but there is an argument to say that Celtic as a business cannot survive on its own forever. We can't demand personal and unique identity forever. It's adapt or die, right? And if we're going to get these big consortiums of football teams, at some point we're going to have to join something or be part of something to continue to elevate us to the next level and onwards. So, like, I mean, there's arguments to say that Citigroup with the Middle Eastern countries might not appease everybody, right? And maybe something like a massive sports brand or energy drink brand is probably more what it is. Might suit us more as a bit more of a unique identity. But
if we were going to have a buyout or anything like that off the back of this, I would. If it's Red Bull coming in as a sponsor, great. If it's Red Bull coming in, as you're saying, John, as part of like the group, and that would mean they'd take an ownership stake, I'd rather Fenway Sports, guys who own Liverpool and own the Boston Red Sox. I'd rather those guys than anyone, because imagine the ties of Celtic being owned by Boston Red Sox owners.
I would happily have that as well.
That would be great tie-in, and it'd be crazy in the market in North America. And look at Liverpool with how all the revenue streams they've got through those same people in the US. Like that would be an ideal
Irish
thing.
connection as well.
Exactly. So
all Irish backgrounds.
Yeah, so that would work for me if we're going to do anything. As someone come in and buy out Dermot Desmond and become our new majority shareholder, I'd go for those guys. But I don't really necessarily want that. I don't know what I want, to be honest with you. Some days I want fan ownership. Other days I'm just like, where's our oligarch from the Middle East coming to throw his money our way? So who knows?
I wouldn't be taking it from Saudi Arabia personally, but
if Wikipedia is correct, pretty much every Red Bull team has Red Bull in their name, apart from technically Leipzig, who are Rasenball Sport Leipzig, so they can have the RB because they weren't allowed to have Red Bull in the name, so they did RB for Rasenball Sport. But everyone else is Red Bull Salzburg, New York Red Bulls, Red Bull Brazil, Red Bull Bragantino, Red Bull Leipzig, Red Bull Ghana, and so
I'm not having that. There's no way I'm having that. I'm not having Celtic RB or RB Celtic. That's just
no thanks. Because all the shit we put on bloody Sevco about being a new club, and then these guys say, "Well, you changed your name."
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah, no, but it also ties in with like Celtic is a brand, and you would disappear into a system if you're stuck. Do you know what I mean? The reason why Leipzig's RB Leipzig is because they were a nothing team from 3 or 4 divisions below the Bundesliga, and
5. It was 5. I'm just looking at it now.
5 leagues below the Bundesliga.
It was the 5th tier.
The 5th tier.
Yeah.
My other concern with this, John, is all the Red Bull teams, their colours have red, white, and blue in it. No chance in hell.
See, it's not.
No.
But look, just as a shirt sponsor, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Let's take it.
Stadium sponsor, that's fine. If they want to sponsor the stadium, that's fine. I don't mind. I'm still going to call it Celtic Park. Put whatever sponsor they want before it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Just maybe not complete naming rights, but
I couldn't care less. I'm still going to call it Celtic Park.
Yeah, right. Yeah, probably most people.
I've got one for you, John. Over here in Melbourne, we've got Amy Park, right?
Yeah.
But when it's because of the sponsorship, but when you've got like Asian Champions League game at the stadium or a Socceroos qualifier or whatever, what's the stadium known as its official name? Melbourne Rectangular Stadium.
No.
Is that official name?
That's its official name for Asian Champions League games, because Amy clashes with a sponsor of the Asian Football Confederation.
All right.
So it's like what you're saying there. Like, I'm going to games. I'm going, the game's at Amy Park. Like, it's always been Amy Park since it opened. But on the ticket, it says Melbourne Rectangular Stadium. I don't care. It'd be the same if I was in Glasgow. It'd be like, I'm going to Celtic Park.
Yeah.
I'm going to Paradise. I'm going to Parkhead. It'd be one of those three. I'm not going to care what it says on the ticket.
So
as long as
Sorry,
Sean, you go ahead.
I was going to say the official name for the new stadium that we got here is Perth Stadium, but it's since the day it's opened, it's been called Optus Stadium, and everyone just refers to it as Optus. But that's so different from Celtic Park because there's no 125 years of naming history or whatever behind it. Do you know what I mean? Like I've only ever known it as Optus Stadium, so I don't call it Perth Stadium because I've never known it as anything other than Optus. But say it changed like next week to be like, I don't know, whatever, like I don't even know who else would sponsor it. Say it changed to Telstra, right? I'd still be like, at that point, I'd probably be like, do you know what? Let's just call it Perth Stadium. This is getting confusing now.
It's like what we're going through over here. It was like you had one opened up and it was like Telstra Dome, and then it became so it was Colonial Stadium to become Telstra Dome to become Etihad Stadium to now be Marvel Stadium.
Marvel,
yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
as in the superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And if you go into the stadium, they have superhero stuff there on the walls as part of the sponsorship. It's ridiculous. But like naming rights is naming rights. Who really gives a shit at the end of the day? But yeah, there's over here, it's completely different. There's not,
So, for example,
years of
what's the name of Ross County Stadium? Or where did Ross County play? If you said you're going to, yeah, exactly. If you say you're going to play in Ross County, you say Dingwall, right? And they've been Global Energy Stadium for like the last however many years.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So on this tangent, then I've got one. So, Sports Direct Stadium or St James's Park?
St James's Park.
Well, yeah, nobody's. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they had to change it back after 6 months.
What's the name of St Mirren Stadium?
Love Street.
It's not that stadium anymore.
No, it's changed in 2011. Yeah,
Stadium or something, isn't it?
It was never actually called Love Street, but you're right. That's the great point, though, John. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is people still call it Love Street, even though it moved away from Love Street in 2010.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it was called St Mirren Park, and then it changed to New St Mirren Park when it moved away from Love Street. So even when it was never actually called Love Street ever, and then now it's the Simple Digital Arena. Like, who the fuck knows? Do you know what I mean? Like, you still call it Love Street. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you still got that. You're still calling that Love Street, even though it's never been called that, and it's gone through various different names and relocations and sponsorships.
To me, no matter what happens, Livingston is always Tony Macaroni.
Yeah.
The spaghetti hat.
Spaghetti hat, yeah.
That's the best one ever.
So they can put whatever name they want in Celtic Park. Everyone will still call it Celtic Park.
Celtic Park. Yeah, you've convinced me. I don't give a shit anymore. Yep. I'm going to call it Celtic Park. And I'm never fucking calling it Parkers, ever.
No, it's not okay. That is not okay.
If you call it Parkers, you are part of the problem.
Yeah.
That's an official statement from Celtic Down Under.
I do not consent.
Brilliant. All right, so where are we up to, boys? Final thoughts, is it?
Oh, we still need to talk about St Johnstone.
Yeah, we've got the last game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
My thoughts on the St Johnstone game is I want Giacomakis to start. I want to see that. And I want to see Mikey Johnson starting as well. Apart from that, I want some consistency. Maybe one change in midfield just for a bit of rest and freshening up legs ahead of Hibs. But I want Giacomakis and Mikey. They looked the part. Well, actually, probably Scales as well, because Montgomery looked puffed, and I'd rather have Scales in than Bolly. All the four subs looked good last night. So if Beton, Scales, Giacomakis and Mikey all come into the starting lineup, it's probably one or two more changes than I'm comfortable with under normal circumstances. But if you're going to give Giacomakis a crack, surely at home to St Johnstone is the time to do it.
Yeah.
I was going to say I got three changes I wanted, and that was it. And you just hit two of them on the head there. I wanted Mikey in I wanted Giacomakis in, and you said Scales. If Scales is going to come in, I wanted him at left centre back and give Starfelt a game off.
Yeah, that's fine.
For the reason that I think it's good to have some consistency in the back line, but is Scales a centre back or is he a left back? We'll find out if we play him in the centre back position and see how he goes.
I can tell you right now, and you can write this down if you want, but Starfelt's going to have 4 or 5 Jozo Simunovic moments between now and the end of the season. And the reason for that is he cannot kick a ball with his left foot and he cannot tackle with his left foot. And the one that is worst out of those two for a centre-back is the tackling one. If you're tackling with your right foot, well, turned on your left, that is bad. You're losing range, you're off balance, all kinds of wrong. A coach will chew you out if you do that in training.
Totally agree. He's Carter Vickers has done nothing wrong so far, really, nothing major. Scales, when he came on, looked good, made no mistakes, really, that I can think of. But yeah, Starfelt is a consistent worry. And again, he's not done anything major, but I think the fact that we're all sort of recognizing he's got that bomb scare about him. Yeah, I agree. He's gonna have those Boyata Simonovic moments throughout the season. So yeah, would you play 3 at the back? I think 3 at the back might be quite good. Yeah.
No.
Oh no, we're all shaking our heads, right? Okay. Well, I'd play 3 at the back and then have 2 up front. But I guess
I wouldn't change the formation. Like, you're just starting to get that consistency about how we're playing and the structure and getting it a bit stable. Like, when to look for the long ball, when to go wide. We're getting at run of games with some depth there. The last thing you want to do is bring Giakoumakis in and then change the system and then not, look at it and go, okay, but how would he work in the normal system?
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think for me, I agree that Mikey Johnson should come in, and I agree when Giakoumakis came on, he looked great. Obviously, he didn't score, but he was in good positions and stuff, and he's
trying too hard. He's trying too hard.
He did try a wee bit too hard, but he's definitely got that. I don't know if it's the right word, but that sort of bullishness about him, where he can definitely hold up the ball, and he's not going to get easily pushed off the ball by any defenders and stuff, which Gergo doesn't have in his game. But I would struggle. Who would you drop from the three?
I would put
the bench, Jota over to the right, and Mike in the left. Done.
Kyogo and Abada, not because just I want Kyogo for Hibs. Not.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Maybe bring him on at some point.
Yeah, we'll keep him in the reserve.
Travel to Qatar and Japan or Saudi Arabia and Japan or whatever it was. So now he's back. Give him a couple of days extra off.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I'd take that.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a point there about Starfelt and I forgot now. Yeah. So even though Starfelt's looked relatively decent in the last couple of games, or rather the defence has as a whole, the BBC coverage, I don't know if you heard it, we're talking about Celtic have really improved their defence to the point now where if somebody makes a mistake, the rest of them are going to step up and bail them out. And I'm like, right, somebody still needs to be bailed out here. Do you know what I mean? And it's Starfelt. Yeah. I mean, people are bailing him out. People are anticipating him fucking up. So it's still, he did once last night, and
he did.
If we can restrict it to once a game, then that's his. That is, do you know what I mean? Like if it was a player on FIFA, Starfelt, what's his rating? Like 68, 69, 70, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? He's not a great player. He's just a stopgap.
An okay squad player.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. I think the second Julian's back, that's Starfelt out, to be honest.
And then if we do that, that's a waste of $4.5 million, in my opinion, because I'm like, well, why would you spend that money?
Is that how much we paid?
Yeah. 4.5.
I honestly don't think we expected to get Carter Vickers on loan. That's why we bought him. Let's be real here.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was a last minute one. But still, geez, that's a lot of money for someone that's not that good.
Well, I mean, look, you can think of it that way, but you can also think about it like we were seriously lacking in the centre-back position, full stop. So even though we spent $4.5 million, we might not see that money back. $4.5 million just to have that squad rotation. Do you know what I mean? On a risk assessment, it's not that bad, is it?
I'm gonna ruin what I just said though. I'm talking about Wild just waste $4.5 million on a guy to sit on the bench, but then the guy who's been out injured for the last year is a £7 million player, so it kind of makes sense to bring him back in.
Oh no, Julian's great, but I just feel like going into next season, I'd be hoping that Dane Murray's ahead of Starfelt in the pecking order.
Dane Murray will go out on loan. Got to go out on loan, say to Dundee United or
okay, fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense.
I reckon he's got to do like the Aya route, second half of this season, go on loan to another Scottish Premiership team, and we'll see what he comes back at.
It's going to be Partick Thistle, isn't it? It's going to be Partick Thistle.
Yeah,
they're doing quite well, I think. So, but yeah, maybe.
There was Partick Thistle, Dunfermline with loan guys too. So
right, yeah. Queen's Park, all the ones that are nearby.
Yeah. keep an eye on them. So I reckon it's going to be. The momentum we've got just now. I think that could be. I think St Johnstone in for a doing. To be honest,
they lost at home to Livingston, so their confidence is going to be low, and confidence counts for a lot in football.
But we lost to Livingston too, so let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
They lost at home to Livingston, to be fair.
Yeah, but their field's a goat track. Let's be honest. So it's not like any better than the Spaghetti had.
Yeah. But look, our confidence was low after we lost to Livingston. We were on a shit run after that. So, you can see it does take a hold.
I'm just saying it to stir you up, Sean.
Yeah. I think this is one of those ones that we talked about before where it's a 3-0. As in, you get 3-0 and you just chill out.
Yeah. Chill back, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It could easily be they could just sit back for the 90 minutes and just try and absorb what they can and mitigate a big loss.
I think I'll go and stick $20 on 3-0. We've gone 200 minutes without conceding a goal. Woo, let's go.
If you're sticking a bet on at 3, I'm sticking a bet on because you call it every single time. I'm sticking $100 on it. Jesus.
I don't. When the fun stops, stop.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to chuck in a little one last thing before we wrap up. I just want to say congratulations to the guys at Axom on winning 2 awards and a 3rd place at the Football Content Awards. Well done, guys. It's good to see Celtic fan media being well represented and winning some awards. So happy days.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Sean, final thought.
Yeah, sorry, total downer now after that, but just wanted to make sure we keep everyone keeps Liam in their thoughts. He was going to be with us tonight, but his uncle actually passed away from COVID yesterday. So he's taken some time to connect with his family and take care of himself over the next few days. So if we can all just keep Liam in our thoughts and just remember that even with all the vaccines, everyone vaccinated, COVID is still a real and present danger to everyone. So we all send Liam positive energy and well wishes. And there's not really much you can do for people in this time other than just let them know you're there for them and support them if they need it.
Love you, Liam. Keep your head up, mate. If you need anything, let us know. And my condolences to all you and your family.
Yep.
Here, supported fully.
John, your final thought.
Well, my final thought, and this kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier, Sean, about the referee and standard. There's a very, very good documentary on Netflix just now, Bad Sport, which I would thoroughly recommend watching just in general. But there's a Juventus episode which goes into some of the refereeing nepotism, I guess is the nice way of saying it, corruption, which I think if we watch, we might see some parallels in our own league.
Mm-hmm. Don't doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
And my final thought is congratulations, Jose Siminovic. You finally have a club after almost 2 years out. Good luck, mate.
Shit, who's that?
Jesus, who's it gone to?
Back to Croatia to HNK Gorica.
Okay.
Wow.
Just saw that before when I was technical difficulties. So, there you go. All the best, Jose, with your glass knees.
Yep.
All right, everyone, thanks for listening. Can you give us a follow on social media at Celtic Down on Twitter and Instagram? On Facebook, you've got our group and our page. Give them a like. Other than that, hail.
Hail.